Welcome to Talk Satellite.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Can you give us a short intro on GSOA?
Of course, GSOA is a satellite association. We represent the satellite industry in its whole environment, from GEO, MEO, and LEO operators, but also we represent all the ground segment and the launchers and manufacturers. What I think it gives us the possibility to have a rich environment for a platform of discussion, but also to have a unified voice towards the regulators and the governments and administrations, and work all together towards connecting the unconnected, but also all the future challenges and opportunities that we have in this sector now.
2025 Connectivity Challenge is still with us.
Definitely. I think the connectivity challenge is something that we have been discussing for as long as I can remember, and is something that it has not been yet fixed. 2025, I think, is one of those years that we want it to be special, because I think technology, but also the mindsets of the regulators and the governments, and also the industries, not only the satellite industry, but all of the other industries from the ecosystem, have realized that we have the chance to make a difference, to change this discussion of the unconnected into the we can now connect the people. So I think that 2025 is maybe one of those years in which, like, all the planets aligned, the industries, the ecosystem, the technology. We have seen all the advances that are happening in 3GPP and how this integration of technologies it's going and moving forward, but also the edge innovation that we are seeing in the satellite industry is also attracting the attention of others, because they see that from an industry that has been looked at as a little bit more on the old school style, the broadcasting and maybe the niche industry for specific cases, nowadays is playing a big role on providing capacity, providing coverage, providing broadband services, but not only broadband services. We go directly to the IoT services that are narrow band, and it opens a world of possibilities. And of course, let alone the D2D environment that we are hearing so much nowadays. So I think 2025 may be the year that we start passing the page and crossing that corner and starting to talk about the connected instead of the unconnected.
Okay, so where are we at in terms of costs on the infrastructure side?
Well, so one thing that I think is very interesting, and the reason why there's still those people that we consider the unconnected, we have seen that 96% of the population is already under mobile coverage. So there is a 4% that is not under that mobile coverage. However, that represents an 80% of the landmass. And the challenges are different in the sense that while satellite has that coverage, so coverage is not a challenge, there are others. One of them is precisely the economic sense that it makes to develop certain infrastructure to those very spread areas. When we talk about terrestrial infrastructure, actually, we can see that the urban areas are covered with fiber solutions and so on. However, to deploy the same infrastructure in rural areas would be doubling the price of the deployment of this infrastructure. So if I'm not wrong, it's extending traditional mobile coverage from 96 to 99% of the population would require doubling terrestrial infrastructure across 39% of the landmass. We don't have the challenge of the distance to the citizens or the quantity of the citizens. Our costs are going to be the same. So that's why satellite becomes a clear and relevant solution for this 80% of the landmass that is not covered.
What are we observing in options arising from satellite initiatives that can support deployment of this infrastructure?
What we see is precisely that is this change in mindset. And when we see now not only the satellite industry providing solutions that are standalone solutions for satellite by themselves, what we see is this collaboration that is happening between the industries, the terrestrial and the non-terrestrial, or as I've heard lately, the space and non-space. And this is a game changer in the sense of seamless connectivity is precisely what the citizen needs. We always heard that the consumer doesn't necessarily look for being connected to a 5G or a fiber or a satellite. What they want is to be connected. And that's indeed what I think this integration of technologies is providing, is that unknown to the consumer. I think many times, because the majority of us lives in urban areas, we don't realize what it means to lose that connectivity. We don't realize what it means to be a fisherman in the middle of the sea. We don't realize what it means to be a farmer in the middle of the land, and the opportunities that this integration can bring to all those economic activities that are the richness of the countries and can really have an impact on the development and the economic growth of the different regions. So this integration of technologies is not just about automobile and the future fancy things. It's also about how this is going to have an impact in those more forgotten, if anything, traditional activities, but that are necessary for our sustainability also as a.
So the role of government and regulators, how should they best serve?
I think it's a very interesting relation, because I don't think one exists without the other. There has to be the same way that we talk about collaboration within the industries, vertical and terrestrial and non-terrestrial. There has to be a dialogue, a continuous dialogue with the regulators and with the public sector. Governments have a big role to play, because regulations need to be neutral. And I like to also say not only neutral, but inclusive. If you don't know that it exists, you will not include it. That's why we think that it's very important that the regulations that are supporting the deployment of connectivity also recognize the important role of satellite, not only as a niche solution, but more as an extending solution for the services that already exist in other cases. So technology neutral policies, but also there is also an important role for the Universal Service Fund, and how can we make sure that we restructure the way that we use Universal Service Funds so that we channel the high revenue urban areas and then we channel it to rural areas without necessarily needing to choose the technology that is not the most fitted for it. So if satellite would be the one that is more fitted, let's use it for those cases. And of course, as we were seeing, the public-private partnerships, this is something that we believe that can contribute to the deployment in those specific areas that not always have the most economic sense, but indeed it's projects that can contribute to the development of the business models. We have some examples that we like, and then Giga is one of those examples that ITU, UNICEF, and private companies are supporting to connect the schools around the world. And then who knows what can come from that. But clearly that's already having an impact in the lives of many students around the world. And there are others like Internet para Todos or many others around the world. And then, of course, financial initiatives and subsidies or regulatory incentives are important for the industries to continue investing in innovation, but also continue being able to serve the underserved areas and sharing those cost-sharing mechanisms for operational expenses.
So do you see a roadmap to universal connectivity?
If I see a roadmap, I think we have seen a roadmap for many years, no? At least the objective has been clear for all of us. We want everyone to have the chance to be connected, no? And everything to have the chance to be connected. The WEF said already last year, in April of last year, that the space economy and the satellite technology has at least a 40% of a role in achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I think the roadmap is, as we have been hearing this week in Satellite Show, as fast as possible. Every step counts. I don't have a date. I hope that the moment that all these innovations are working and we really realize the potential that satellite and other technologies have, we start building on it. And I think every day there's one more connected person and one more connected cow and one more connected road. And I think that's how we build a path. We don't need to be rushed. We need to build the things in a sustainable manner and in a conscious manner, and especially building in a way that we can improve it also in the future. So I don't have a date. I think the roadmap is already ongoing for a long time, and we are just contributing to it the best that we can. Think so.
Natalia, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to have this conversation with you. Thank you.